Okay, hello everybody. I got a little list here of stuff to talk about. Talking about racing and winning in pretty much all motorsports. It's all about the preparation. There's something to the words that everybody says about races are won in the shop. Now, some of these guys, you show up to the track, you're working on the car at the track. There's no need for that kind of stuff unless you're having issues. I mean, obviously that happens, but you gotta put the effort in the shop. I mean, been involved in plenty of race teams over the years, and it was always like 40 hours a week in the shop working on the cars. Granted, we didn't drag race, we did circle track stuff. I mean, but we're here. I do circle track stuff very rarely now. I used to do a lot of setups, did a lot of engine stuff. Now I'm playing with some drag car stuff, and I see a lot of you drag car guys. You're not really prepared when you get to the track. The car shouldn't roll off the trailer. Oh, I gotta do this and I gotta adjust that, and oh man, I need this part, I need that part. You should already be prepared. When you get to the track, you should be able to hit the button and go. I mean, there's been, you even see like the SRC guys, uh, even Cletus and them guys with all the money they have, they showed up to a race and they're hunting parts. I mean, you buy something for the car, you buy a fan belt, you buy a set of spark plugs, you buy plug wires, whatever. Buy two. Put one in the trailer, one for the car, one that goes in the car. Fuel pump. If you lose a fuel pump, do you buy one? Most people, that's what they do. I don't. I buy two. One goes in the trailer because if one failed me once, the likelihood it's going to happen again is pretty much guaranteed. I mean, parts fail. I mean, I got a whole like shelves here full of doubles of everything. You just, you know, it's part of the deal. It's like, yes, it costs a lot more money to do that. A lot of guys can't afford it. Well, you can afford it if you take the time. If you're not prepared to go to the track, stay home till you're ready. There's nothing more frustrating than getting to the track and having to work on the car or having to hunt parts, having to run to an auto parts store because you need something. I mean, it kind of ruins the fun. I mean, unless that's your thing, I mean, then do it your way. But to me, I mean, if you want to win, or even if you just want to have fun, be prepared. Don't stress. I mean, there's nothing. That's just makes it more fun to me that way. I mean, we can go on, the time in the shop thing. If you want to spend the time in the shop, so you don't have to spend the time on the car at the track. I mean, you should nut and bolt that car every time you're going to race it. We would come home from the track, car comes in the shop. Day after, I mean, the day after, we're not talking like weeks later, day after the car comes in the shop, goes up in the air. We look at everything, see what we need for parts. Usually on a Sunday, let's say. Monday, you're on the phone, you're ordering parts, you're getting stuff shipped. If the car didn't get wrecked, the car went on scales, everything, any change, if you made changes, even in a drag car, if you make a change, document it, put it on the scale, see where the weights are, know where you're at. Every week, know where you're at. Don't make adjustments blindly. Don't go into something, and keep track of what you adjust at the track. If you make a turn here, write it down somewhere so you know. Keep track of everything you do. That's another part of the whole thing. Now, people don't want to hear it, but I plan 40 hours when I'm racing goes into that car every week. Whether I'm underneath there with tools, just checking every nut and bolt, anything that moves on that car. That nut, the nut, check the nut, make sure it's tight. Check your grease, check your Heim ends, change the transmission fluid, change your oil. Do you figure out your maintenance? I mean, granted, there's different levels. If you got a fairly stock type car, you're not getting crazy, but you still should be nut and bolting. It's a safety thing. There's nothing wrong with being sure about stuff. Uh, If you're strapping into something, I would want to know that everything's good under the car. It's a tough thing to like trust somebody else to do it too. So I always used to do it myself. But if you get a good group of guys, guys you can trust and are doing the right thing, and you work together all the time, it gets easier on you. It gets to be a lighter load. I mean, drag racing is different than circle track. I mean, circle track, if we damaged the car, it was usually 2 days to fix it. We used to call it 2 nights, $2,000. I mean, if you tore a tire off the thing, that's usually what it was. I mean, usually scale the car. It's one night scaling the car, checking all the thrust angles and the Ackerman and the bump steer. And I mean, you guys should be doing that stuff with drag racing too. You got to know your thrust angles. You got to know your bump steer. It's good. You got to know your travel. There's a lot of the same stuff that gets used in both kinds of racing. I just see a lot of guys show up and they don't have a clue. Oh, I don't know why my car does this. And the only way to learn things is to keep track of stuff. Oh, put 2 turns in this bar and the car did this. Well, now you know. Take the 2 turns back out and the car goes back to where it was. You know what that adjustment does to the car. If you do that, you make the 2 turns and you take the measurements and stuff when you get home. You know where you're at to go, for that particular day, and you have an idea next time. If you write it down, or you keep track of it. So I don't know how some people can keep track of it in their mind. I mean, but after week after week after week, after a while, it gets tough to figure out and remember where you were at. I mean, if you have a good setup and it works and you want to sometimes be able to go back to it, the best thing to do is have it written down somewhere. I mean, scales are important, even in drag racing. I mean, you need to have that car on the scales. You need to know the rear weight, the front weight, which each tire's weight, basically cross weights. If you that's not used so much in that, but I mean, knowing them numbers and knowing if you put 100 pounds in the car in a certain spot, what the numbers change. I mean, spend time on the scales, figure the stuff out before you get to the track. Say, oh, if I put 100 pounds on the nose, dead center, what's it going to do to the wheel weights? Where's it going to throw the weights? Then after you get all that in, you still got, I mean, shock adjustments are crazy now with the double adjustables, and it's just endless. I mean, it's a lot of information to keep track of if you really think about it. Now, and if you got, another thing I see is multiple cars. If you have multiple cars, you are spreading yourself thin. No matter how, I mean, there's guys, I don't know who to use for examples. I mean, there's guys like me, I got 2 sitting here. Do I focus on if I was racing, I would be focused on the one. The other one is just there in case we do something else later on. Or, I mean, circle track, we always had usually a backup car, but we didn't, we focused on the one car. Usually didn't get into running both cars, running multiple places. It's just too much. You spread yourself thin. You're not doing yourself any justice by having multiple cars. You got to look at, like, guys, if you no prepping, Look at guys like Casey Max. The dude has had one car how many years? And everywhere he goes, he's a threat. Think about it. The guy crashed the car, he fixes it. Crashed the car, fixes it. Blows it up, he fixes it. He's focused on one car. He doesn't say, "Oh, this car is slow. Now let me go buy another car and start over again." Go and buy another car and start it over again is not. It's going to take you twice as long. Even if the car is something that's 3 times the car you had, you still got to dial it in. If you want to do something like that, that's something you do in the off season. You get a new car, you start testing. There's a lot to figuring a new car out. I mean, some guys get lucky, they go fast right away, but they also got the guys that know what they're doing setting their cars up. I mean, the big guys is a totally different thing from what we do. Then you got to talk about being prepared. Obviously, they touched on that a little bit with stuff. Parts. Your trailer's got to be full of parts when you get there. Fuel. If you need, if you got a special kind of fuel you like to run. I mean, I run Sunoco. I don't like running VP. I don't like the Cam 2. I mean, yeah, I use it in a pinch, but my car is dynoed with a specific fuel. That's what I want to run. I don't want to have to worry about, oh, I lost a tenth here because the fuel isn't the right fuel, or consistency is another thing. If you're going to bracket race, obviously consistency, and that's part of the driver being prepared too. You got to be prepared mentally. You can't go to the track stressing and worrying about things. You should be able to go to the track and focus on your driving. If you're focused, you have more potential to do your job. Circle track racing, when I was driving the car and I was working on the car, it was tough because I was doing the tire pressures, I was doing the setups, I was doing the engine stuff. It just, plus I'm driving the car trying to get ready for that. When I got help with that stuff, it kind of lightened the load. It was the nights I had a crew, it was nice to just be the driver, get in the car, belt in, go out, do my practice, come in, get out of the car, tell the guys what I thought. They would do the tires, they would do the stuff, they would look at the setups, we'd sit down and we'd talk, and it was nice to be able to say, okay, this is what I think, and they would say, yes, this is what we're seeing, and this is the change we're going to make, and they would make the change. I wouldn't have to get underneath the car and make the change. I would do my driver stuff. I would make sure all my stuff's set, ready to go. It's just part of it all. I don't know how to even explain the difference. And I mean, till you do it and you have it, it's such a difference in the evening or the day or whatever. It makes the weekend so much better to be prepared, to have help that knows what they're doing. When you're drag racing, have a friend who goes with you. He videotapes your runs. You can make decisions that way. A lot of guys do it. You see them out there with the cell phones, video recording the back tires, watching what the car does, watching how it reacts, watching the tires, seeing how much they squish and how much bite, and the wheelie bars, if you run wheelie bars, lots of stuff. There's a lot to this. I'm still learning. I have friends who've done it their whole lifetime. He's in his 70s. I have somebody to bounce stuff off. That's another thing. Find somebody to bounce your ideas off of. Find somebody with the experience who's going to be honest with you. Because a lot of guys aren't going to be honest with you. They're going to steer you in the wrong direction just because they're protecting their chance to win. Drag racing is probably a little bit not as much, but I'm sure it still happens. So that's just a little bit of what I wanted to touch on today as I'm out here in the shop uncovering the cars because I really haven't done anything this winter with them. I'm still waiting. I still got to do some bars in the Nova, and we still got some other stuff to do on the other car over there. But just something to think about. I mean, maybe you guys can talk about it in the comments. Some ideas, some stuff that helps you, some stuff that you find didn't work. For me, I mean, my stuff may not work for you. I'm just, everybody's got their own thing. They got their own deal. You got to do your own thing. You got to do what you're comfortable with. But there's definitely something to the races are won in the shop. If you go to the track and you're fighting it from the get-go, the car's not ready, you haven't nothing bolted it, you got issues you should have fixed at home, you're not going to be 100%. Not in your mind where you need to be. You need to be 100% in your head, and the car needs to be 100%. If you can get those two things right, the rest of it, it's going to come easy. It's going to come. It's going to happen. If you struggle, you're going to struggle in your head, and you're going to struggle all night. Granted, people win when they struggle. Like they say, every blind squirrel gets a nut occasionally, but don't rely on being lucky. You got to be good and lucky. Thank you. That's all I really wanted to say. It's been bothering me watching all these people out there, especially the YouTubers and stuff. They go out there, and these guys got money. I mean, they're doing it for a living, and they're struggling because they can't remember to bring parts, or they aren't prepared, or they have way too many cars because content. It's all about the content. Yeah, you got to have the content, but I'd rather watch a guy not struggle and go out there and kick everybody's ass than watch a guy struggle and sit there and watch him and think, man, what an idiot. If he had just brought a spare fuel pump or something like most racers would do, he wouldn't be out there asking for people to bring him a fuel pump somewhere in Georgia or whatever that he needs because he can't get one. It's just all stuff that I guess veterans know. Some veterans don't, but a lot of us do. I mean, I'm in my 50s now, and it's a little late in life for me I would love to mentor somebody. And I always offer to help somebody, especially if the person's willing to do the work. You got to do the work to get the results. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you watched this far, comment below. Tell me what you would do. Tell me what you think. Has it worked for you? Or are you willing, think about trying it if you haven't tried it, being prepared, putting the shop time in. Like and share, obviously. Subscribe if you want. We'll be getting ready soon. Soon we'll be taking out some stuff. I'll take a little peek over here and show you this. I mean, this is what I'm working on. Hopefully this year we'll get it out there. I mean, it's a basic, simple car. We want to keep things simple. Why? Because the more technical, the harder it is to be consistent, the more things to go wrong. When I bought this car, I didn't want any turbo stuff. I wanted it. I didn't even really want the delay box because, hell, I don't even know how to use the thing yet. But 2 gauges, shifter, line lock, some shut-off switches, and some toggle switches. There's no computer in this car. There's, start off simple. KISS, I guess. Keep it simple, stupid. This car over here. We'll walk over here. We'll look at this thing. There's another basic, keep it simple car. This one is actually the budget car, trying to be under 10 grand to go racing, try to go 10s for 10 grand, which is doable, but picking a Nova wasn't the right thing, really. But I mean, this car is basic too. This is all used. I ain't picking a Nova. Cost me, more money than if I pick something like a third gen to run, or something that nobody normally runs. Not a muscle car. Pick like a Sunbird or a Monza or something. Light and fast. Mustang. Everybody runs a Fox body Mustang. Well, they can be light and they can be fast. So there is that. So that's it for today. I just wanted to say some stuff and to get it off my chest, I guess. And hopefully we'll get some videos out. And we'll maybe even see you at the track this year.